Welcome into Steelers Talk Yinzers. My name is Jack Sperry. Today on the show, ESPN has suggested two big moves for the Steelers to make this offseason. I'll be revealing what those are and give my thoughts. And then also Lamar Jackson, the latest on him. Is he going to be a Raven? Is he going to be somewhere else? I'm going to let you know in just a second. And then, of course, we got a new segment here at the end of today's Rumor Show. It's going to be a lot of fun, so stick around for that. But before we get into all of the good stuff today, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you are new here. We're almost at 22K subscribers here on the channel. We're just above 152 subscribers away from getting to 22, and you know what my favorite number 22 is? Najee Harris. So go ahead and do it. Subscribe to the channel right now for Najee Harris so that we can get up to 22K here on the channel. All right, guys, so let's get into what ESPN has said the Steelers should do. So they had two big moves for every single team in the NFL to make this offseason, and they said that the Steelers must sign Eagles inside linebacker TJ Edwards in NFL free agency next week. This is what they had to say. It comes from Aaron Schatz from ESPN and Football Outsiders. This is what he had to say. Originally, we planned to suggest 33-year-old Lavonte Davis for the Steelers as he's still playing at a high level. However, signing a veteran doesn't seem like the Steelers' way. They're more likely to sign a younger player still in his prime, and they continue to say, so how about the 27-year-old Edwards who started for Philadelphia for the past 3 years? Edwards is not a supreme run stopper, but he's excellent against the pass. Last season, he allowed just 3.6 yards per pass in coverage with a 74% success rate. So here's what I think about TJ Edwards. He's one of the most well-rounded inside linebackers in the NFL. Schatz said that he's not that great against the run. I disagree. I think he's one of the top 10 run stuffers in the league at the position. I think that the numbers bear that out. I think his PFF grade last year, 6th in the National Football League, bears that out as well. His expected market value, however, is going to be 3 years, $12 million per year, and that's according to Pro Football Focus. And the big question for me with TJ Edwards is that going to be a little bit too rich? Are the Steelers going to be willing to dish out this kind of big contract for an inside linebacker? And personally, I just don't think it's going to happen. I think he's going to be a bit too pricey, right? You look at guys like Myles Jack on the roster right now. Even if you cut him and save the $8 million that you would save by cutting Myles Jack, you still have to pocket out $4 million per season to Edwards every single year. And this is a defense that, remember, you're going to extend Alex Highsmith this offseason. You still got Myles Jack on a big contract. You got Minkah Fitzpatrick on a big contract. TJ Watt has the largest annual salary for an edge rusher in the National Football League. So adding a guy like TJ Edwards, I just don't think makes a whole lot of sense. I think if they want to add a linebacker in free agency, it's going to have to be somebody that's a bit lower of a price tag. Although I love TJ Edwards as a player, I just don't think he's going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. But let me know in the comment section right now, will the Steelers make a big move in NFL free agency this offseason? Type Y if you think yes, or type N if you think no. This is the pinned comment on today's video. So whenever you get an ad break, go ahead and go into the comment section, find that pinned comment. It'll be right there at the top, and answer today's question. So the second move that ESPN suggests that the Steelers make is to trade up in the first round of the 2023 NFL Draft for a premier left tackle prospect. This is what ESPN had to say about the Steelers' potential draft pick trading up here. A boost of elite talent up front could reposition the team near the top of the AFC once again. The Steelers aren't in a great position to sign free agents, however, given their usual spot right up against the cap. And they continue to say the 49th pick would suffice to leap in front of the Jets at 13 for their preferred choice. By the way, the Pittsburgh Steelers haven't drafted a tackle in the first round since 1996. So coming up here, I'm going to be telling you my thoughts on the Steelers potentially trading up to take a big-time left tackle prospect. But before we do, let's have a word from our sponsor at Athletic Greens. I drink AG1 by Athletic Greens literally every day, and I love it. Get comprehensive and convenient daily nutrition at athleticgreens.com/chatsports. I gave AG1 a try because I wanted more sustained energy throughout my day and wanted a supplement that actually tastes great. I take AG1 in the morning, and it makes me feel ready to take on my day. AG1 combines combines all of your key health products in one convenient and tasty beverage. And in my line of work, guys, sometimes you have to put in those long hours. So AG1 helps me feel energized and sharp so I can be at my best no matter how busy my schedule gets. Covering my nutritional basis for the day literally couldn't be any easier, which is why I trust Athletic Greens. I just mix 1 small scoop of AG1 with 12 ounces of water and drink it first thing each morning. Done. Easy, simple. I also like that it costs less than $3 a day, and if you ask me, that's pretty darn good. It's a really effective daily habit with the highest quality source ingredients, which of course is a win-win for you and your health. If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplemental routine, then Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/chatsports. That's athleticgreens.com/chatsports. Check it out. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. So my thoughts on the Steelers trading up to get a left tackle is that they definitely shouldn't force it. I think the only way that the Steelers should trade up to go get their guy at left tackle is if there's only one guy that they are willing to take in round 1 that's left on the board, and the team that they're trading up with, they're not wanting too much. I think that if you look at the guys in this year's draft class, Peter Skoronski is definitely somebody that I would be willing to trade up for. He's somebody that I compare to Rashawn Slater of the Chargers, who, despite the shorter arms that these two men have, they have great technical proficiency. They play with great footwork. They play with great power and agility. I think Peter Skoronski is going to be a really, really good player. I would trade up for him. And then also Broderick Jones. Let's say that Peter Skoronski and Johnson go before maybe pick 13, and then in that range of before Washington, right, 14, 15. If there's an opportunity to trade up to get a guy like Broderick Jones, I would probably take that as well, as long as the team that's looking to trade down isn't asking for too much. The Steelers do have that second round pick at their disposal. If it means going up and getting the guy that's going to be protecting Kenny Pickett's blind side for the next 10 to 15 years, I'm absolutely willing to do that. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Should the Steelers trade up in round 1 to get their guy? Type hell yeah or hell nah in the comment section for me right now. Can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this one. So now let's talk a little bit about Lamar Jackson, who just got the non-exclusive franchise tag from the Baltimore Ravens. Yesterday, we talked about it, and I said yesterday that it's looking like that Baltimore is probably going to lose Lamar Jackson. Now let's go over the situation. The Ravens placed the non-exclusive franchise tag on Jackson on Tuesday, just like we talked about, and the cap hit for next season is going to be $32.4 if he plays on that tag. So that's actually not that much for an NFL superstar quarterback. And then also, the big revelation yesterday is that when that news was announced, multiple NFL teams that people thought were going to be interested, the Falcons, the Commanders, a bunch of other teams already came out and said that they will not pursue Jackson in free agency. Here's the complete list of teams that have already come out and said that they are not going to pursue the former NFL MVP in free agency. The Falcons, we really thought the Falcons were going to be right there. Same thing with Carolina, the Miami Dolphins, Washington Commanders, a team that I really thought was going to go after him, and then the Raiders have also said that they're not going to be going after him. So with all these teams saying no thank you to Lamar Jackson, could the Ravens actually get away with this, to put a non-exclusive tag on a superstar level quarterback and then end up paying him way below market value next season? I mean, if he plays on the tag next year, he's going to be making maybe $10 million, maybe $15 million less than what he would have been making if he would have signed the contract with him. Now, I think that with all these teams coming out and saying we don't want Jackson, I think it makes it even more likely that a deal gets done with the Baltimore Ravens. I really hope that it doesn't happen, but I guess we will see in the coming weeks and months. Will Lamar Jackson be a Raven in 2023? Answer this question for me in the comment section right now. Type 1 if you think yes, or type 0 if you think no. For me right now, guys, I'm 50-50. I'm not sure. I think another team might be willing to swoop in, but right now it's starting to look a little bit more like he'll be a Raven next year. So now we have a new segment here on the show. It's called Hot or Cold. So what's going to happen is I'm going to bring on producer Jeremy Chuggs here, and he's going to give me a bunch of proposals here, and I'm going to tell him whether I'm hot or I'm cold on that idea heading into 2023. Welcome into the show, Jeremy.
Thank you. My first question for you, Sperry, hot or cold on signing Orlando Brown Jr.
So
from the Kansas City Chiefs.
So I'm cold on this one, guys. I think Orlando Brown Jr. is a fantastic talent. I think that he is still pretty young. I think that he's a very solid left tackle. I think he's the best option in free agency this year. The problem is I don't want to pay him what he's going to want to be paid. He's going to be wanting over $20 million per season. He's going to want to be one of the highest paid offensive tackles in the league, and his play just did not reflect that last year. So I don't think the Steelers should invest that much money in a guy that's kind of mid-tier production, and I just don't think it's a really good idea for the Steelers to make that kind of move.
All right, Jack. Next question for you. Hot or cold on trading for Titans defensive tackle Jeffrey Simmons? Where do you sit on this one, Sperry?
So I really like Jeffrey Simmons. He's a great player. I have to go with cold, however. Right now, the question really is it's going to be between Alex Highsmith and Jeffrey Simmons because you can't really pay both of them. This defense already has a ton of big contracts. It's really going to come down to who are you going to pay? Are you going to pay Alex Highsmith and give him an extension for future years? Or are you going to get Jeffrey Simmons and give him the big contract extension that he's looking for? For me, I'm going to stick with Highsmith. I love Jeffrey Simmons from the Titans, but I'm going to go with Alex Highsmith here. I'm cold on this one.
All right, next one. Hot or cold on cutting Myles Jack and signing the #1 inside linebacker according to PFF, Mr. Bobby Wagner? Are you hot or cold on this one?
I am red hot on this one. I would do this in a second if I were the Steelers GM, Omar Khan. Bobby Wagner is freaking fantastic, and right now, Pro Football Focus is projecting that he's going to accept something along the lines of a one-year contract, about $7 million. I'm taking that all day long. If you cut Myles Jack, not only you get $8 million in cap savings, you can use 7 of that on Bobby Wagner, and you still have another $1 million to spend on another free agent or something else. So I really think that would be a good move for the Steelers, but at the end of the day, I think they do like Myles Jack, so will it happen? I'm not too sure.
All right, next question for you, Jack. Hot or cold on signing former Vikings linebacker Eric Kendricks?
I am cold on this one, just like it is in Minnesota. All the people in Minnesota right now are shoveling their driveways. They're freaking freezing their fingertips off, their toes off, and that's how cold I am on this guy. The Vikings last year, their defense was absolutely atrocious, and part of the reason for that is that although Eric Kendricks is a very smart player, been in the league a long time, very savvy, good instincts, he just doesn't have the speed anymore. He just doesn't. He's getting older. I think that he is cooked. I don't care what the contract is. I don't care if he comes to play for the Steelers for free. I want somebody else in the starting lineup. I don't want Eric Kendricks in a Steelers uniform next season.
All right, Sperry, hot or cold signing Rams wide receiver Allen Robinson? Where do you sit on this one?
So, this one's interesting because he can play in the slot a little bit. He's a decent route runner, but at the end of the day, I'm cold on this one. I'm very cold on Allen Robinson. Although he's had success in the past as a route runner, as a route technician, over the last couple years against man coverage, he's just not getting open that much. Now, he led the Rams last year in separation, but if you look at the Rams wide receiver room, it was absolutely awful. So I think Allen Robinson is just not a very smart investment for the Steelers coming up here. I think they're pretty solid at wide receiver, right? You got Deontay Johnson, George Pickens is coming up. You got Pat Freiermuth, an excellent receiving tight end. Calvin Austin III is coming off the injury. I think that maybe they add a wide receiver in free agency, kind of a bigger slot guy maybe, but I'm just not a big fan of Allen Robinson. Personally, I'm cold on this one.
All right, last question for you, Sperry. Hot or cold, will the Steelers win the AFC North in 2023? Are you hot or are you cold on this one?
Cincinnati Bengals, pretty darn good, but I'm going to go out on a limb right now, and I'm going to say I'm red hot. I am on fire right now. The Pittsburgh Steelers are going to win the AFC North in 2023. Kenny Pickett is going to make the proper steps to become the true franchise quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. George Pickens is going to establish himself as a star wide receiver in this league, and I think that the defense is going to be one of, if not the best, in the National Football League next season. So although the Bengals, pretty darn good, give me the Pittsburgh Steelers to win the AFC North next season. All right, guys, so that's going to be it for today's show. So go ahead for me right now. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We got free agency stuff coming up here. We got draft stuff. Free agency's right around the corner, okay? Changes are going to be made from today to to a couple weeks from now. If you want to know what those changes are, go ahead, subscribe to the channel right now, and turn on notifications.